For research purposes, the number is taken as 3 or more, although in many instances, those suffering from the phenomenon have reported the involvement of far greater numbers. And yes, this is now me, and yes, I, from experience, know for a fact it's a far greater number than 3 or more that engage on gang stalking a targeted individual as myself. So let's get back to my real life story and when I first noticed gang stalking being aimed at me. Again, remember, at that time I had no idea what gang stalking was, or that it was even a thing, or that it even existed. After I did that shot of meth, the rush hit me, and I immediately left my friends to start walking back to Tiffany's house, where I stayed at that time in Bowling Springs, South Carolina. This walk, again, I tell you, was 35 to 45 minutes away. All I had on my mind after that shot from the needle was to hurry up and get back to her because meth made me instantly superhuman horny. And she and me did have sex for hours upon hours nonstop after we got high. That's all I could think about as soon as the dope left the needle and entered my veins. Again, like I said, I had no idea this time what was waiting for me as I walked out my friend's door. Excuse me a second. This 35 to 45 minute walk turned into hours, and let me tell you why. As soon as I stepped outside and he shut his door, I headed up the street. I noticed 2 or 3 cars oddly parked on the side of the road. They were like at angles, just really odd the way they were parked. And it was still daytime, and they had their headlights on. They started to flash their lights repeatedly, and then I heard multiple horns start honking all around me in a not so normal manner. I thought it was strange and different, but didn't think much of it till I approached the cars with their headlights on and flashing at me. As I walked past, I looked at the drivers and they immediately pulled off. Each driver was staring me down hard and laughing ballistically. I didn't know them, and they looked like your normal everyday citizen that had money and was just a normal person in society. The cars were white and new looking. As they passed me, I thought it was weird, but still didn't think too much on it. I wanted Tiffany, sex and fast, so I kept walking as fast as I could toward her house. As I turned off the street, leaving out the trailer park and onto the main road, which was YHWH, multiple cars started flashing their lights at me, laying on their horns, yelling crazy, hateful stuff out their windows as they passed by, rearing up their engines, and would turn their blinkers on, but they would turn their blinkers on and not get over. Sorry, my writing's did it kind of fast. Let me start that part over. Multiple cars started flashing their lights at me, laying on their horns, yelling crazy, hateful stuff out the windows as they passed by, rearing up their engines, and would turn their blinkers on, but not get over as they got beside me and would turn them off a little ways past me. This time it wasn't 2 or 3 cars. It was what seemed to be like in the 20 or 30s car range. It literally went on for a good 10 minutes of my walk down Nashville Highway as I was headed back to Tiffany's. The creepiest part was I noticed, and couldn't help but notice, every single car that was inducting in this behavior as they approached, got beside and past me, was brand new, all white vehicles with dark tinted windows. Again, 30 to 40 cars is a guess. It was probably way more. By this time I started to panic, scared and creeped out because each of them made sure I knew this behavior they showed was directed towards me. So I suddenly panicked. Bad. I found my spot. And I took a turn off the course and took a right onto a road way before I should have turned. and headed towards Highway 9. This route was way out of the way, and now my 45-minute walk definitely was quickly turning into a good 2 to 3 hours. As I turned onto this road, many of the cars was turning around and turning on the road I was on now, including cars behind me that turned with me as I turned onto the road. They continued yelling out the windows, honking horns, rearing up their engines, and so forth. There was cars pulled over on the side of the road, of the shoulder of the road ahead of me, and the drivers were standing outside their cars looking dead at me with their phones in their hand. Now this was weird as well